Okay, it's July 10th, and we're in Monroe, Michigan, and this is Rebecca Sachs. Baba, could you tell us about your courtship with Papa?
Well, yes, I think I can tell you a little bit about it. And we met in 1939, and my all of a sudden my cousin Pearl called me that her cousin Ted was coming to Monroe, and maybe it was that summer, was the beginning of that summer, and and she was coming with I think a cousin or somebody else, and we were all going to go out for dinner. Well, we went out for dinner with my other cousin Adele and my cousin Pearl and the boys, and that was fine, it was fine. And then he went away. He went back to Monroe. I think he might have written me once or twice, and all of a sudden my cousin decided she would come to Monroe, Michigan. And when she came here, the first thing, she was approached by Ted's father, Harris Sachs, and he wanted to know all about me.
So how did your cousins know, how did they even know Ted?
Well, because my cousin Pearl is related to the Chasen family, and that's how she knew Mother Sachs was a Chasen.
Okay, and do you know what exactly their connection
her grandmother,
was?
Her grandmother Pearl, was a sister to Ted's grandmother.
Okay.
So they were very close.
Mm-hmm.
So she came back, and I says, I don't know what's wrong with that man. He must be talking, I don't know what he's talking about. Well, that summer, I went with Bernice White. We went on a trip up the lakes, the Great Lakes, and we stopped in Detroit. And I wrote Ted that we might stop in Detroit, and he was anxious to meet us. But on the boat, we met a friend of Bernice White. So they lived in Detroit. So they took us where we wanted to go, and they put us out on the train. Well, the next thing I know is I get a call from Ted that he's coming to Monroe, to Chicago. So we went out.
So this was the second time?
This is the second time that we saw him. And of course, our first date was we went to the hotel in Chicago called the Sherman House. And we went to hear a band. And I wanted to go to this band because they had a man by the name of Harry James. And he was married to Betty Grable. So I wanted to go and hear him play. Mm-hmm. So we went, we had bite and we had dance. And they had this young people that he didn't look very good, but he was singing wonderful. And later on we realized it was Frank Sinatra. He started out with Harry James, and later he went to the Dorothy band. So that was, so we and it was just before my brother's wedding was October 29th. So he was helping at the house, because we didn't have a car. So he was helping, and I asked Sylvia, would you mind if we should invite the wedding? She said, oh, sure. But then he said he was going to come back for the wedding.
Okay, so that was the third time.
And then his father came into Monroe, into Michigan, into Chicago. And his father, he came to the wedding. So that was, so then we started writing to each other a lot. And then I think he came back maybe for Christmas or New Year's, and he told me he proposed to me then.
And what was your response?
Well, I don't know. I really wasn't sure. Because I was just 20 years old. And I had talked to my mother about it, and we talked about it, and obviously I said yes. So then what happened, we decided, I think I became engaged maybe January the 18th. And we decided we're going to get married in September, which is my birthday. Well, we thought that was okay. That was fine. We'd have a long time. Well, then he called me that his father was very ill. And he wants to go from Monroe to California. And could we do it any sooner? So then I decided, well, why don't we get married in June? That's okay. Well, I called him. Then a couple of months, days later, he doesn't think that's a good idea because his parents are very anxious to leave for California. And they wanted me to get married right away so they can go to California. Well, I put it on the phone and I said to my mother, I'm not going to marry him. I don't like this, that they're telling me what to do and what to do. I don't want this. And my mother, in her own wisdom, said to me, well, do you like Ted? Would you like to marry him? Yes. Well, what would happen if you would wait until another day and his father would die? You would never forgive yourself. So I think we have to get married. So I figured out by the time that I saw Ted, we were together 12 times.
And do you remember how he proposed?
Well, I think he got on his hands and knees and he proposed.
Did he offer you a ring?
Well, he didn't. He was going to send me the ring, bring it, but he
So in the moment he didn't have it.
No.
And then did he eventually send you an engagement ring?
Well, he came in January and brought me the ring. So that was. Anyways, our wedding was not that very good because Mr. Sachs got quite ill at the wedding. So he was taken to the hospital or to my home. And so we decided we were going to go to Florida. And then we decided we can't go. So Ted says to me, well, Reed, what do you think we should do? Should we go to Florida? And I said to him, I'll never forget this as long as I live. I said, I got to tell you something. I don't know what your reaction is to your father. But if this was my father was dead, of course, I would never leave him. I wouldn't leave for anything. I would want to be with my father. And I said to him, I hope that you feel the same way about your dad. So he said, well, that's right. And I said, no, we can't go anywhere. So we stayed in Chicago a couple of days. We stayed at the Drake Hotel. And then I came to Monroe. My mother came with me.
The first time?
Yes.
You want a little water?
Yes, she gave me some water. Anyways, I was very unhappy in Monroe. I miss my family. I miss my friends. And after I was here a couple of months, I decided that I have to leave Monroe. I can't take this. I don't like being alone. I don't like this town. And so I went to your grandfather, and I said that it has nothing to do with you, but I really have to go back to Chicago. But I need some money. And what do you think Ted Saxon said to me? Of course, this would never happen again, believe me. And he says, well, I'm going to give you the money, but I want you to know that if you leave Monroe, I'll never come and get you. Now, I should have told him a couple of words, you know.
This is what Papa said to you.
Yes, he said that to me. And so I went in the other room, and I wasn't thinking of my husband at all. And I was thinking of my poor mother. My mother loved Ted, and my brother, my sister, everybody loved Ted. And we've never had a divorce in our family. And of course I could go home. But I'm thinking, well, I'm going to be the one that's going to make the divorce in our family. We've never had this. That maybe I should stay. And of course I unpacked my suitcase. And for 68 years I remained with my husband.
And so, do you remember going back to when you and Papa were meeting and you agreed to marry him? Do you remember what you liked about him, or?
Well, I liked about him because he was very thoughtful, very kind, very nice to me. He was just very kind and very nice to me. He was very, very thoughtful, very considerate, and I have to say I've had a wonderful 68 years of life. I've had wonderful children, grandchildren, and so I guess I did the right thing.
And then do you remember how long it took you to start adjusting, once you decided to stay in Monroe?
Once I decided to stay, I decided that I should go down to the store. We lived over the store. So I went down and I was helping with customer, but I was doing a lot of the book work, and then I started working at the store.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And you think that helped?
well, absolutely. And then Ted was gone for 3.5 years, and I ran the store. I don't know how anybody at 23 could run a store, but I did it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I did. I didn't do very well, but I did it.
Okay.